And here we have another moment of our Voices of Impact. Now I am introducing myself, Sigrid de Kaste. I'm a marketing and visibility strategist. I am the creator of the Global Virtual Expo ecosystem, and that is where we are in today. And our theme for this particular expo is Meet the Authors Live. Now, on the screen right now, we have authors. All of us three here are authors. And we have had both Peter Abrahamson and Linnea Johnson already as speakers as well. They are our exhibitors and speakers. And in this particular episode, I want to talk about what a book can do for you as an author, whether you have already written one or you're thinking about writing one, you've started on it and you stalled perhaps. It is really valuable to consider what the book can do for you. It can give you motivation and incentive to keep going or to get started, whichever. And I'm really happy to have these wonderful other two authors with me because they can also add segments to what I would like to share with you right now. So here it goes. How did I come to ever write my very first book? I had what you call bricks and mortar businesses in the past. When I was finished there and I wanted to do something different, somebody suggested to me, you could do consulting, coaching, something like that, because you've been in business, you have got some great experiences there. Marketing has always been my background. So why don't you write a book about your experience? Now, I thought my experience, I don't see anything really important there in itself. So then I decided I could go into consulting. Yes, definitely that would be something I would be interested in. And I learned about writing a book that is actually not that difficult. I had no idea, but I decided that if I use a book to elevate my credibility as a consultant on what topic could I write about from my business's background. Instead of just going into the generic and big area of marketing, I could speak about how to deal with your team. Now, my team was never more than 15 people. So I had between 5 and 15 maximum people. I thought I always dealt with them really well. And people around me in business would always say things like, oh, it's so hard to work with people. I don't know my team. My workers aren't doing anything. I tell them to do this and they never do it. And I thought, I wonder why. I've never had any issues with people. I've always had a great team. They were motivated. They did a lot of things on their own. They gave me great testimonials of working with me. So I thought that's something I could work on. I could become a consultant to small businesses about the size my own was, and I write a book about practical steps to find and keep great people. That's exactly what I did. That was my very first book. Now, the journey was difficult. I don't want to tell you all about that detailed journey right now because it took me months and months and, over a year to finalize it all. I found it was really tricky. I threw it all out and started all over again. That's a story for another time. What I want to say is, though, that this book was very specifically written to elevate my credibility as a consultant because I didn't have any, particular awards in that area, or I hadn't done any study as a consultant or coach or something like that, but I had practical experience. And that book did exactly that. And how did I use it at that point in time when I wrote it, which is some time ago? I've used it with directly giving and sending it to those people I wanted to work with. And the result was that within the first week of having published that and sent it out to people, I had over $5,000 worth of contracts to be a consultant to those businesses. So a very direct return, a very specific book purpose and title as well. Those are the key things that I then took on after that when I discovered a lot of these people I was working with didn't have any marketing in place for their businesses in general. I went into starting my marketing agency, Sticky Big Marketing it is called. It still exists, but I'm doing different things with it now. In the marketing agency, I again used a book to elevate who I am, what I do, and this time I took it onto the global stage. Through a lot of traveling I was doing, I made sure I was connected with networking groups globally, visited them and talked about my book, and with that about my marketing agency and how I look at marketing for a business, and specifically marketing a business like yours. So, very specific. Why is your business different? Because that's what every person, every business owner says. Of the smaller size business, I'm not talking huge companies. I'm talking again about what, about 20, 25 employees, roughly, that sort of a size of a business. So, that's what that second book was, exactly specifically around marketing, bringing clients into my marketing agency. I did that on the global stage by physically traveling a lot. And I discovered a lot of other people wanted to know, how do I write a book? Can I use it? Can I build a business with it? Yes, absolutely. I went from the marketing agently broad speaking about marketing specifically in build your business with a book. So this talks very specifically about examples how you can use a book to build a business in a particular area, niched as we call it. And that's what that one was all about. So I started working with businesses specifically writing their book. And that's led me then to the next one, much more to do with women specifically, women in business who want to really highlight making an impact and inspiring and using a book to do so. So that's my fourth one. What I'm sharing with you here is that you can have a very direct, specific purpose to use your book. Do you want that credibility? Do you want to elevate yourself, bring yourself out there into the world? Or do you want to help others to impact and inspire in a particular area of their business, or, as in this case, particularly women in business that I touched on? So, what are the key components here? What is the purpose? What do you want to actually achieve with your book is really helpful to know. And the next thing is, in order to achieve that, what does your book title need to be so that it does grab your audience, and how are you going to promote it? So let's bring in my other contributors to this topic here. I've shared with you where my backstory is. I would like to ask both Peter and Linnea, who have written books, in their experience of what they discovered with their book in regards to book title and generally promotional, talking about it, why they came to write their book. Can I get started perhaps with Peter? Would you like to contribute around, you've got a book, it is exciting, it is different. What brought you to title your book Break Through the Emotional Brick Wall?
Break through your emotional brick wall.
Oh, thank you for that correction.
So I wrote that title because I had my own brick wall, and the image on the title is you come from a sort of desert type of thing into a greenery, and life is better, and then someone has just broken through that brick wall. We all have a brick wall sometimes. Sports people hit the wall when they run marathons. They say they hit the wall. And again, I am in many ways led by what my clients tell me, and they talked about this brick wall, and I knew I had one myself. So I thought this is what it's going to be as a title. But the reason why I wrote the book is I didn't even think, I mean, I probably made all the mistakes you can make in order of, in terms of what do you want with that book? What is it going to do for you? But for me to begin with, it was because I had a message I wanted to send. I wanted to write the starter for 10, if you like, that I never had when I needed to figure out what is this brick wall I'm up against. So I had already previously in my life conquered long-term depression, and I thought, yeah, I've been there. I've been on the other side of that wall, and I broke through it and left that thought for years. And eventually I thought, no, that's something I need to explain. So I wrote, it's not a long book. It doesn't have to be a long book. But it's got lines, you can write your own thought. And I'm just asking, well, have you thought about this? What about this? What about that? And so it's a bit of a self-help book rather than something that I thought, I'm going to build a business on the back of that. Had I thought like that, I would have probably written it differently. But then again, there could be another book in me that I can apply that method to.
That's right. It is not, we don't always consider everything at the start. And so, you can take it in different directions, of course, and whatever title you choose, yours is still very appropriate for the work you do and for what you offer. Excellent. Linnea, take it from here and share about yours, please. Now, you are an author, the author of the linkability book, but you also have been a contributing author, which is a whole nother story that is for another talk. But tell us your experience, please.
All right. Well, my book was and is about LinkedIn because that's what my business is based on. But when I wrote the book, I was still running a copywriting business, and the LinkedIn work had not yet picked up to a point where I could really focus on it. But writing the book allowed me to do that because it gave me international attention from people all around the world, and had people coming to me here in New Zealand, I'd like to point out, to help them with their LinkedIn in various different ways. When it came to the title, though, I needed to be really careful because the book is about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is notoriously litigious when it comes to their branding and trademarks. And so I wanted to give a nod to that, but I didn't want it to be something that they could come down on me like a ton of bricks and say, you can't publish this because you are infringing our copyright or our branding. And so I just used the word link and left it at that. And that was enough to be able to make the connection that this book is about LinkedIn. But the second part of the name, the ability part of it, gives a nod to the fact that reading the book will help you to be better and be more able on LinkedIn. Now, what I did was I separated it with a piece of punctuation, which I've never found the correct word for, which is a big dot that sits right in the middle of the line. So it's not the dot that you would normally see in a URL. It sits right in the middle of the line. And this is, if I was doing this all over again, I would not put that in there because it is a nightmare to copy and paste every time to find that little dot and make sure that I add it to the name. Now, the full title of the book is Linkability: 4 Powerful Strategies to Maximize Your LinkedIn Success. Now, if you're going to have a long title like that, you really do need to have something that it starts with, like linkability, that is really easy to be able to throw out there for people to read and to understand. Now, my business linkability was built on the back of the book title, which is probably not the best way to do it, but that's how it worked out for me. And my original company name, Word Wizard, because I was a copywriter, then just faded into the background as I moved forward with the LinkedIn work. Now, when it came to time to think about a name for the second book, which I co-authored with a colleague from Sydney, we had to do that as a collaborative process to organise that. And I can tell you that we collaborated really well on the book itself, the writing of the book, and that was a really seamless project. We got on together really, really well. But the book title itself gave us enormous issues. And that was partly because we brought in other people who were helping us with the book in various aspects for their input. And as you alluded to in your presentation, Sigrid, the more people that you have who are involved in some of the aspects of your book and making decisions or giving you input, the more difficult it is to find something that's going to work for you in the longer term that everybody agrees on. It's a bit like herding cats. It simply doesn't work that way. So eventually you have to bite the bullet and decide what you're going to do. And eventually we came up, and it wasn't my title, Business Gold, and that's the world's first book about LinkedIn company pages. And so that's doing really well. It's now, we're just coming into our third edition of that.
Mm.
So that's been a really popular book, I have to say, on something that is so very, very niche. So the book title, I think, is really important for a number of aspects, but getting that right, making it something that people can easily remember. And for me, having a short title or a short first part of the title really paid dividends.
And I think, the title is something that There is so much happening out there that I have seen in my time when I've worked with authors and authors to be to decide on their title. The most common thing that I see is that somebody will put out there, "I'm writing my book, and here are three titles. Can you tell me which one you like the best?" So this goes out into the what can we call it? It just goes out there into the world, nothing specific. We don't know who exactly answers. Most of the time, they are people who know the person or who like the person and want to do something nice for them. So they choose a title that appeals to them. Nothing to do with the purpose of the book, with what the author wants to achieve. There's no consideration in that. So there are some really not useful titles. Linnea, you do have running with this expo a very specific competition. I'd like
I
you to
do, I do, I
give
do.
us some information on that. It's a bit of a fun thing, isn't it?
It is a bit of a fun thing. So it's all about finding the worst book title for business books. So it's called the worst fictional business book title. Now that's a mouthful just on its own, to be fair. But the idea is to get people's brain cells working about fictional book titles for books that are in business. The worst one that might be funny or clever in some way, might be a play on words. It could be anything, but it can have a subheading for it as well, like I've got on my book, if you'd like to do that too. And so that's easy to enter. It's on my booth. It's a free competition. There's a QR code there that takes you direct to the entry form, and I'm going to be drawing that on Monday, the winner to receive a linkability, a visibility package that's tailored exactly to their needs. So Peter, that might be a good one for you.
I'll give it a think.
Peter had a question around now when we're talking, you talked about pages before. Let's talk about pages in LinkedIn, which is Linnea's expertise. Peter, I think you had a question around pages in LinkedIn for business or perhaps using for the book. Do you want to perhaps touch on that, or would you like Linnea to go straight into giving us a bit of information around that? Peter, did you have something more you wanted to ask?
I've been considering doing a business page, and when you speak to people who call themselves LinkedIn trainers or specialists or gurus, whichever term they like, ask three and you get four or five different answers to the same question.
That's true.
Um, so I have been advised that it's a waste of time to do a business page because unless you pump a lot of energy into keeping it alive, it's just sitting there and it might destroy your reach on your posts and all these things. And I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. So far I've not done it. But having spoken to Linnea earlier about exactly this topic, I'm thinking, yeah, all right, I can spend a few minutes putting that one together and get the benefits of having done that. And the benefits, I know you're far better at explaining than I could ever hope to be.
Well, I'd like to go back to what you first said about the question, really. Should you do a business page? And I'd like to break down the word do, if it's possible to break down a two-letter word. I think there's two components. There's setting up your company page, also known as a business page, and then there's managing it or making it active or being active on it. Two separate things. So I absolutely believe it's important to have a business or company page. And the reason for that is, first of all, it's free. It's great organic content on LinkedIn. It can be found. It's searchable by Google. So it gives you that SEO reach, which I think can be really helpful as part of your overall SEO strategy. And dare I say it, AI strategy for being surfaced in queries about your area of expertise. So setting up a company page means you need a banner. You need to have a logo, and you need to have some information about, in this case, your book. And so you could do that and just leave it at that. Now, the other option is to then be putting content onto your company page. Now, that is what people are talking about when they say don't bother. And the reason they say that is because it doesn't get much organic reach. In other words, your posts on a company page are not going to be seen. There is a way around that, But really, for most people, they can't be bothered. They don't want to put in the effort, and that is absolutely true. They will not get much reach on those particular posts. So I recommend standing really clearly on the fence on this one. Do set it up, don't necessarily add a lot to it. But I do want to mention that there is a third option here just to really confuse things. There's something called a showcase page, and that's attached to your company page. So, for example, you might have a company page for your business, which I really do believe is important, firstly. And then, secondly, you might attach to that a showcase page about your book. Now, if you think that your LinkedIn page doesn't get much attention, your showcase page is going to get even less attention. But what you can do is use it as a marketing tool. So you can use the URL to send people to for information about your book, or it might have a link there to Amazon or to Barnes and Noble, wherever you're selling your book, and people can go to it there. So it gives you another way to be able to promote your business or your book, and another way to get into Google's search and AI's search now as well. So I'm a great believer in the more of these places that you can have your book listed, the better. Now, of course, I'm talking LinkedIn only at present, but I believe that all of these are probably possible on other platforms as well. I do think having a YouTube channel that's associated with your book's an excellent idea, where you can share videos that talk about different aspects of your book and then encourage people to go and buy it. I think that's really important too, because we live in a world of video. And so no matter what you're doing on LinkedIn, you should be having video. But I won't talk any more about video right now, because that's something we can discuss later, and we can probably see that is running off track about company pages. I do that a bit. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So let's just do a bit of a summary here on this particular segment, this particular video that we have been sharing the topic on voices of impact, and in particular, our voices of impact here were Peter Abrahamson, who is our psychologist, coach, and mentor, and the emotional weight lifter. And we have, of course, here Linnea Johnson, who is our leading global LinkedIn authority. I thank you for your input. And the summary of this is that writing a book, what is the purpose? What is the outcome you want to achieve? And for filtering into that, you need to know the title. How does that fit into what the purposes you want to achieve? And when you are promoting it, in particular using LinkedIn, of course, what can you do there? How important is a company page as part of that? So I thank my contributors for this segment, for your input, and I'll see you again in the next or another video. And do make sure we are at the Global Virtual Expo with our Meet the Authors Live. So go to all of our Expo exhibitors booth. You will find them by logging into the Expo using the navigation bar at the very bottom, and simply click on the part that is exhibitor list, and you can reach each and every one of our exhibitors directly there. Both click through, find and have a good look around what is on offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sigrid.
Thank you.